He's Rodney Harrison from Football Night in America. Won a couple of Super Bowls with the New England Patriots and the former All-Pro safety back on the program. You just got through working out. How much would you do bench press-wise, max bench press?
I don't really do a lot of max bench press, Dan. I'm a little older now. My joints tend to hurt when I go too heavy. But, you know, if I crank it up there, I can still put up about 330, 325, 330.
Who was the strongest guy on the Patriots when you were there?
I don't know about Vince. I don't know. Maybe Vince, maybe even Junior Seau. Junior was really, really strong. Junior probably could bench 450. Junior was a big, strong guy.
Did Brady ever come into the weight room?
Yeah, he did. He actually worked out really hard, Dan. I mean, to have, you know, when he first came in the league, he had this little long, kind of stringly body, but he worked his butt off. I'm telling you, he really works hard. I tell you, I've walked in the weight room plenty of times at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. He's there before me, sweating, squatting, and doing all types of things. But he's a very hard worker. You'll be surprised.
But is he a good worker? I mean, a good athlete?
Is he a good athlete? Compared to maybe your boy sitting over across from you, maybe yes, but compared to us, I wouldn't say he's a great athlete, no.
But so he was just very good at what he does. He's not athletic in what he does.
No, I can't even say that, because if you look at what's going on with Tom, and I really think the difference in Tom Brady now as opposed to earlier in his career, he's moving around a lot better in the pocket. If you watch his feet, if you watch his movement, he's always had good pocket awareness, but his movement is a lot better. I think that's something that he's really worked on. So when you're watching a game, watch that, because that's something that's really made a difference. You know, and even when the offensive line was struggling earlier in the season. Where
did these option quarterbacks go? The running quarterbacks go? That was the fad. Is that leaving the way of the Wildcat offense?
Yeah, it's amazing how everyone jumped on the bandwagon, and all of a sudden now you see these guys getting hurt. It's one of those things where in college it works because you don't have 50 guys or 30 guys getting paid $1 million a year or more to come and knock your head off. And it's one of those things where, you know, you have to go to school in college. You have other things to do. But in the professional ranks, this is your job 24/7. And defense coordinators are smart. They're going to figure certain things out. And when these guys get an opportunity, they're going to knock your head off.
But I don't understand Colin Kaepernick, though, Rod. Tell me that you have a former quarterback as his head coach. You do have weapons on the Niners. Why is he regressing?
I think he was one of those guys where he had so much athletic ability. I think Jim Harbaugh got so wooed by that, and he's a physical specimen. He's really fast, and there's some excitement there. I mean, I don't think it's over for him. He's a young quarterback. Obviously, he's going to go through some ups and downs. I think what he needs to do is, instead of focusing so much on his physical and his six-pack and getting an eight-pack, he needs to start putting that same attention that he puts on his body into the classroom. He really needs to become more of a student of the game. I think his biggest issue is not having the confidence to go through his reads, number one, number two, and number three. It just seems like he stared down his receivers when we're watching him, and he just doesn't have a lot of confidence coming off those other receivers.
Plus, defense, Bill Belichick, as you well know, is going to take away your number one option. He's going to take away the thing you do well. Now he's going to force you to do something else. If I'm a defense, I just say, if Kaepernick wants to stand back there and throw, go get him. It's when he ran, when he was elusive. That's when he was dangerous, because now I have to account for that as well. Now he's one-dimensional.
Yeah, and then what happens, too, these young quarterbacks, they get in their head because they're listening to all these so-called experts and say, well, he can only run, he can only this. So they change their mentality. They change their form and what they do. Just like RG3, when he came back from that injury, he started becoming more of a pocket passer, trying to appease someone else. And my thing is, like you said, what makes them dangerous and special is their legs, and you have to be able to utilize that. But, that's why it's so important for these young guys to become students of the game and learn. And I think that's what you see with Russell Wilson. He's not a great thrower, but he's so smart. He feels the pressure. He can make plays with his legs, but he can also make plays with his arms because he studies and he understands the game.
Former All-Pro safety Rodney Harrison from Football Night in America joining us, Dan Patrick Show. What are you, one of two players with at least 30 sacks and 30 interceptions?
Yeah. Ray Lewis was second.
You did it first, then Ray did it after you?
Yeah, that's my claim to fame. So,
so you were the first guy in NFL history to do at least 30 sacks, 30 picks.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. All right, where do you stand on the Cardinals bandwagon? Because you've been on and off here.
I haven't been on and off, Dan. I said initially at the beginning of the year.
You loved him.
I loved him. And that's when they had Carson Palmer, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden they lose their quarterback, then they lose their second-string quarterback. And I said, I don't think it wouldn't surprise me if this team didn't make the playoffs. I expected them to beat the Rams last night. Now they have some issues the next couple of weeks coming up.
Okay, but 11-3, they're going into the postseason.
Yeah, but they're not going to. I don't believe they're going to do a lot. I just believe that there's other teams in that NFC. Yeah, they'll squeak in, but I don't really see them doing damage, especially with a third-string quarterback.
How important is this game for the Cowboys against the Eagles Sunday night on NBC?
Yeah, this is important. I think this is for the division, and the team that may not, if the team loses this game, they may not make it to the playoffs. So this is a very, very important game. Definitely a must-win for the Cowboys. What
would be the approach for Johnny Manziel if you were facing him, or if Belichick is your coach and you're going to devise a defense? So what would you guys do?
Oh, I'd blitz the heck out of him. I'll disguise the coverage. I'll blitz the heck out of him. I would dare him to run. Every time he would run, I would knock his head off. I would take a cheap shot if I had to, just to send a message. Because he's one of those guys where if the momentum is going and if he can make a few plays, he'll get excited. He's very exciting to the fans and to his teammates. But I would just take away any indecision. I would blitz the crap out of him, disguise a lot of coverage, a lot of zone pressures. I would try to confuse the heck out of him because he's a young quarterback, and obviously he's not 100% comfortable with reading coverages, just like a lot of these quarterbacks now.
But Rod, I would think that he would want disruption. I would think that he wants it a little chaotic. That's where he seems to flourish.
Yeah, that was in college. This is the pros, and he's dealing with a lot of big, fast guys that get paid a heck of a lot of money to take his freaking brain off, his head off. And guess what, Dan? They don't want to get embarrassed. When you're playing against a guy like Johnny Manziel, you read all the headlines and stuff like that. You don't want to get embarrassed with this, in front of millions of people with this guy. So you're going to try to punish him.
But you don't like him.
Mentality.
But you want a piece of him. It feels like.
I love Johnny Manziel. I loved him in college. I was rooting for Houston to take him because I felt like he is exciting and he is infectious to his teammates in terms of excitement and energy that he brings. So I really like Johnny Manziel. But you asked me what would be my approach. Okay. I would knock his freaking head off. That's what I would do.
Did you have that approach to any other quarterback?
Yeah, everyone I played. Everyone I played. If I can get a shot on you, I'm trying to take you out. That's just the mentality of a football player, and that's what you have to have.
Did you intimidate a quarterback with a hit? Do you remember?
I wouldn't. You know what? I would intimidate wide receivers definitely, and even running backs. And you would see guys looking, and you get a good shot on them, and I tell them, hey, don't come across this middle. I'm going to punish you. And you would see them lining up and looking and staring every move that you make. They're paying attention. Trust me.
Well, you did it to Jerry Rice.
Yeah, it cost me $125,000 too, but it was well worth it too. That was a nice shot.
But it's not weird if you see Jerry Rice. You run into him, and he knows what you did, and you know what you did. And
man, Jerry, I love you, greatest receiver of all time. But if you come across the middle, heck, we could be walking across the street, and I'm driving my car. I might try to hit him with my car. No, I love Jerry Rice. He's phenomenal. But no, it's never really weird because in between those lines, that's just something we did, and
well, who's the wide receiver though that didn't intimidate you, but made you a little nervous?
Oh, Randy Moss. Jerry Rice scared the heck out of me. Randy Moss, I had absolute fear with Randy Moss. If I lined up at normal yards, 10 to 12 yards as a safety, I'm lining up at 18 against Randy Moss. Everything, you can catch anything in front of me, Randy, but you're not going to beat me deep. That was just the bottom line.
I think Randy Moss actually underrated because all the drama that he brought to himself and his teams, but I don't know if we'd ever seen anybody like Randy Moss to be that fast, that big, that athletic.
Man, I tell you, and he did it for a lot of years, and even T.O. was really, really special. And I don't even think we begin to appreciate how good he is or how great he was because of all the distraction and all the nonsense. But, you got to understand, those guys brought it on themselves.
Yeah. Who's more underrated? Who's more underrated, Moss or T.O.?
I think T.O. I think Moss is great. I played with Moss, and I know his greatness, and I respect his greatness. I love his preparation and what he brought as a teammate. But I think T.O., because it's just so much negativity around T.O., I think he's really underrated. I mean, he was a terrific football player.
But did you ever say anything to T.O., I don't know how much talking he would do to the defense, but when you hit him,
no, you know what? He was one of those guys where he just, he'll put the ball down and he'll get back up and just run back to the huddle. But one thing about him, he played with a lot of energy, so he never wanted to show any signs of weakness. So if you hit him, he'll jump back up even if he was hurt, and he'll get back in the huddle and he'll come back and make another catch. But I mean, what he did when he played in the Super Bowl, coming off that major, ankle surgery, that was just remarkable what he did.
Yeah, that's one of the great performances in NFL history. Before I let you go, a bigger mess, the Bears or the Redskins?
The Redskins. I would just say the Redskins because, you talk about this RG3 kid and if they're going to keep him, and even if they let him go, they still don't really have anybody at the second or third string position. It's really bad. The Bears situation isn't great either. I can't even, begin to start there. But I would say the dysfunction in Washington definitely because you have so many people divided, from the coach, the general manager, as well as the owner. So it's just too much going on, and then the lack of leadership in that locker room. So they have a long way to go to fix that.
I'll see you this weekend.
Sounds good, Dan.
Thank you, buddy. That's Rodney Harrison.